Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm Tom Christiano. Well, tonight is a very special 20th anniversary show, and I know what you're all thinking. You're saying, geez, you don't look like you're old enough to have a show for 20 years, right? But it's true. I am over 40. So we have a wonderful panel tonight. As most of you know, every year when we have an anniversary show, we ask the town manager of Chelmsford on and the chairpersons of the Selectmen, School Committee, Planning Board, and Finance Committee. And tonight we're very fortunate that all of the chairmen are here tonight. So it's going to be a great show, and hopefully you could watch it all, especially if you're interested in Chelmsford. Tonight we're going to have pretty much entirely the show about Chelmsford. So with me tonight we have the town manager, Paul, for your, guess what, your 20th time on the show.
And it coincides with the 20th anniversary, Tom.
I didn't even think of that. You're right. So Paul is now on our gold panelist list, where if you have 20 more appearances, you're on this list now. We have 13 people on the list now. In fact, last show we had two people, Sam Chase and Kathy Duffett, inducted into this Hall of Fame, you might say. Yeah. So thanks, Paul, for being here so much, because you've been a town manager here about 8 years approximately. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it averages about 2.5 times a year on the show, and we appreciate so much that you come on the show and give us your time, Paul, and tell us what's going on in town. And
the half times are the toughest ones.
Right. One time it's the legs, another time the torso.
Exactly.
You know. So Paul, as everyone knows, is the town manager here, and I saw you doing a great job at the Rotary Club Duck Festival on last Saturday, which we'll talk about with Al Thomas here tonight. So thanks, Paul, for helping out at a lot of our events, showing up at a lot of our events. In fact, I also saw you at the Chelmsford Historical Society annual dinner about a week ago on the Guardian Award for George Simonian and the Chelmsford Alumni Association. So you show up for a lot of events, Paul, and thank you very much for doing all this.
Thank you. Fortunate to have the opportunities.
So tonight you're going to have an opportunity not only to enlighten us as to what's going on in town, but to have a piece of cake after the show.
That's right. Cake always is a good motivator.
Pete will get a nice close-up of the cake afterwards, maybe. But this year we have a great cake with the American flag on it. And, this is my 387th show of this particular, not including the movie shows that I did and everything, just of these discussion shows. 387 and 20 years now. So thanks, Paul, for being here. And thank you. We have my friend Tom Gilroy with us tonight. How are you, Tom?
I'm very well, thank you.
Tom is the chairman of the Finance Committee.
That's correct.
And also recently elected as a town meeting representative from my precinct, Precinct 9.
That's right.
So that's great. And also very active, or you have been a Republican Town Committee for many years.
Not as much as I was before, but I also want to mention that Paul last night reappointed the Grinder Pump Study Committee.
Oh, wonderful.
So we're going to be getting in session again in the next week or two and trying to resolve some of the issues that still exist with the grinder pump owners.
And you're on that committee, Tom?
Oh, yes, I'm on that. I have been chairman of that committee, but there's 9 of us, and we're all going to be active again. So.
Yeah, that's important to do before our next town meeting, especially,
and
right?
Peter has said that he will definitely televise it for us as well, so that's good.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the townspeople deserve that.
Yes.
And they'll be able to get up to speed as to what's going on.
That'd be wonderful. Well, thanks, Tom, for being here again. And we also have Mike Raisbeck with us, as chairman of the planning board this year.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
It's great, Mike. This is your 3rd time on the show.
Yeah, I'm going to be chasing Paul for a while.
Well, you got to get those halves up,
right.
half, and you'll hit 20 before you know it. But we do try to invite the full person, though, mostly. So, in fact, I drive by Mike's house on High Street every time I drive to the studio. And it's great over there. How is the house over there, Mike?
It's coming along, but when you've got a big old boxy Victorian, you're never done.
Yeah, it's
ever.
Huge. It's huge. I remember your campaign party over there many years ago.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Running for the planning board, and you had like 100-yard signs there that night, I think.
Yeah, I handed out a few of them.
Yeah. Are you a town meeting rep as well?
Yes,
Mike?
I am. Precinct 1.
Precinct 1, nice. Oh, yeah, with High Street fellows and women. Yeah. Nice. Well, thanks for being here, Mike.
Oh, pleasure.
Any other committees you want to mention before that you're
No, I might mention a few a little bit later, some of the things that kind of work under the planning board that we're going to be working on this year.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we also have with us my friend Al Thomas. How are you, Al?
I'm great, thanks.
Is it your 7th time on the show, right? Yes.
I'll never make 20.
Well, I hope so, Al.
They'll
I
have
hope
to
so.
wheel me in a wheelchair. I'll be 90.
Oh no, I hope you do, Al. But it's great having you on the show all the
Yeah.
time. As everyone probably knows, Al Thomas is the chairman of the school committee this year, and a longtime member, right, Al? How many years has it been?
Well, it's been, 5, I
About
guess.
5 years, yeah.
It seems longer.
Yeah, that's a tough one lately. But you deserve a lot of credit, all of you, for all the work
Yeah.
you put in, all the time, all the hours.
It
amazing.
is. It's a lot. As I found out when I elected chair, things changed dramatically at that point. But the tide's turned, and we've hired some great people, and I'm really excited about where we're going. So
Wonderful. And are you also a town meeting rep, Al?
yes, I started when actually before the charter, when it was open.
Is it precinct 5 or
Yeah.
something? Oh, precinct 5. Great.
Yeah.
So you live somewhere near me. You live near South Chelmsford or in South Chelmsford?
Yeah, I
area
live
or
right
something?
on 110, just before the Westford line.
Oh, nice, nice. Oh, and you don't have to pay the Westford taxes. That's nice. I guess. Well, I mean, it's true. So, Barbara Renison,
I heard
right?
they have a lower tax rate than Chelmsford, but
Yeah, but they actually pay more, because Barbara Renison was telling me they have a house in Westford and a house in Chelmsford. Believe it or not, she told me they're going to sell the house in Westford because their taxes, she told me what they were, and they're huge. I mean, it's very high, like at least twice as what we're paying here in Chelmsford. So anyway, good thing
We
you're
have
here in
all
the Chelmsford.
all kinds of building in my area, because Westford has a huge development just over the line. And then, where Charlie's Market the Highway Market used to be, that's well along. And then the one in back of where the Indian restaurant and the Thai restaurant.
The
There's a lot of
Chamberlain
building going on. in the
Yeah,
area.
that's true. That's true. Wow. Any other committees you want to mention, Al?
No, I'm
oh, the
involved
Rotary
with
Club.
yeah,
Are you?
and the
You're
Alumni
not the president. Are you
Association.
still the president?
No, I just do a
Okay,
little
great.
publicity.
Well, Al helped a lot with the duck race and the publicity, and helped a lot on Saturday, along with Paul Cohen.
yeah.
And
Well, a lot of
so many
people
people
work.
were
Yeah.
helping out there. And I just wish there were more parking, but we got to figure that out someday. How to get more parking in the center of town? I don't know if we could ever figure it out, right, Al? Because
Thanks.
Well, if it's exciting, they'll find a place to park.
Yeah, I parked in back of the town
Good,
offices and
good.
walked over. Thank God I could still do that at my young age of 40 years old. And so thanks for being here,
my
Al.
pleasure, my
And
pleasure.
thanks. And we have my good friend Matt Hanson with us again. How
Good
are you,
evening.
Matt?
Thank you for having me back.
For your lucky 13th time, Matt.
Is that my lucky number?
13
All right, I didn't know that.
times.
Very good.
Wow.
It's a
So
lot of
it's turned
shows.
out okay. A lot of people have had 13 lately, and
Okay.
it worked out all right. And as everyone knows, Matt is the chairman again of the
Yes.
Board of Selectmen, because you have been once before, right, Matt?
Yes. Yeah, I took this last year off, but I was the chairman the year before that.
Wow.
Yep.
And how many years have you been a selectman now?
Well, this is my 6th year, essentially.
You're in your 6th year
Yep.
now, yeah.
Last
Because
year
you're
was
up
my
for
second
next year,
term.
but I won't ask you if you're running again yet. It's
Still a
too
little
early for that.
Usually
yeah.
wait till around the fall.
Yes, yeah, fall is be nice, yeah. So any other, you're a town meeting rep, right? Is it
Yes.
precinct? No, it used to be
Precinct
5, but now
one
you
now,
moved.
yes. I moved to
over to
Littleton Road as
Littleton
well.
Road. So
Yep.
precinct 1.
Precinct 1,
So
correct.
with Mike, great.
And Al.
And I know you're a liaison to many committees, right? As
Yes.
all the selectmen are.
Yep.
Nice. So thanks, Matt, for being here. And before
Glad
we
to be
begin the
back.
show, though, given it's our anniversary show, I wondered if I could just thank a few people who have been instrumental in this show. I won't take too long, but just every 2 weeks we tape a show. We have volunteers that come in to videotape it, our camera crew, and we have our usual people tonight, which is great. We have Tom Bentley and Azora, and we have Larry Vidoli, and Azora Kraus, I think is her last name. And they're a great crew. They come in, volunteer, in the winter, the summer, cold, hot, they're here volunteering their time, and we couldn't do the show without them. So thank you all very much for the great job you do as the camera people. Then we have a wonderful studio crew. They do get paid, however, not half of what they're worth. They're outstanding people, right? You all know Pete Padula
Right.
and Vilu Tari,
Right.
and our new employee here, Diane, and we have Dan Silva and Tom Peterson over at the high school. So this crew that we have here, Chelmsford Telemedia, just outstanding, right? I think.
Absolutely.
I'd also like to thank all of the panelists, all of you here tonight, and we've had well over 300 panelists on the show over the years.
Wow.
And they've all, you know, we couldn't do the show without them, right? If they didn't agree to come on the show and basically impart their knowledge of their particular committee or board, we wouldn't have a show. I wouldn't do the show. So thank you all the panelists tonight and all the 300 plus panelists who've been here over the past 20 years. And finally, I'd like to thank the viewers at home, because without the viewers at home, I don't think we'd have a show. Because if I didn't hear from you every once in a while, and it's not always, but every once in a while I'm walking around town and people say, Tom, I love your show, or I don't think I've ever heard, Tom, I hate your show, but but anyway, at least I know they were watching. But so they let me know, and also by the clicks on YouTube, I could tell we have viewers, you know.
Yeah.
We also have it on Chelmsford Telemedia and Chelmsford Television, but those we don't have the number of viewers, so I don't know how many are watching there. So anyway, the viewers at home, thank you very much for watching the show. I know you can't watch every show, but even if you watch once in a while, we really appreciate it. And without you, the viewers at home, we wouldn't be doing the show. So thank you very much, and hopefully we'll continue the show for another 20 years. How old will I be then?
60.
60.
Right.
Yeah, 60, I know, according to that one. Well, I'd be, in real life, I'd be 87 in 20 years, so I could still do it at 87, right?
Sure, sure.
Do we have any
Sure.
talk show hosts at 87 on national TV or anything?
I think Larry King's done, right?
Larry King, oh my God!
Probably close.
Now he's doing like infomercials at 2 in the morning. He
Right.
won't give up television.
He's got to support a young child.
Barbara Walters is up there too.
Yeah, she
Barbara
does,
Walters,
even
yeah,
though
she-
I think she's moving back a little bit from The View and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was very active until like 80 something.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but we'll see what happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I wouldn't do the show if the Chelmsford Telemedia crew wasn't good to work with. You know, because if you have a lot of bureaucracy, I can't stand bureaucracy. I'm probably like Tom and many other
Yeah.
people. We don't like people telling us what to do and all kinds of rules and regs. But Pete gives it very low key. I decide who the hosts, the panelists are, and what the format's going to be, what color the tablecloth's going to be, everything. And without that freedom, I and probably many other producers wouldn't do the show. So thank you to the Chelmsford Telemedia people for that as well. Now, with that prelude, we can begin the show with maybe Matt Hanson and Paul Cohen, who were there last night. Last night we had probably the most compelling dog hearing I've seen in Chelmsford. And I've been watching Chelmsford on cable TV for, what, 30 years now we've had it?
Wow.
And I've seen many dog hearings, and they've all been compelling. But that was about the most compelling, the most interesting, the most emotional.
Yeah.
Matt, I thought you did a great job
Thank you.
cheering it. I thought Paul did a great job telling, this is what we did, this is the truth, these are the facts. And I thought our animal control officer, Eric Merrill, did a great job too.
Yes.
Very factual, very professional. There was his uniform. I thought he was well-spoken, and he was just trying to protect the neighborhood.
Right.
So Matt, if we could start with you. Any thoughts about last night, the dog hearing?
Right. Well, I mean, I would first start by saying that it's always an emotional situation for the family, the victims, and the family, the dog owners. Everyone loves their dog, and it's terrible when a situation like this happens for everyone involved. And it's a tough situation to be in. I mean, as far as running the meeting was concerned, I did try and just keep the emotions aside. I know the other board members tried to do that as well. But it's a difficult job. We had to let everyone speak and say their piece. But at the end of the day, our priority is based, well, you could tell, on the animal control officer's recommendation, which is to help keep the community as safe as possible. There was, unfortunately, a 4-year-old child who was bitten, scratched pretty severely by two dogs. And so, of course, our recommendation was to euthanize the animals within the next 14 days.
Yes.
So it was just last night. We'll see how that turns out. They do have an opportunity to appeal.
With that would be through the court system,
Through the court
right? Not
system.
through Chelmsford, the
Right,
court
that's
system.
correct.
So we'll see within the next 2 weeks whether she and her family are going to do that.
Right. It definitely was one of the most emotional, at least since I've been on the board as well. So I can understand. It was just because they love their dog. They obviously didn't want to see anything bad come to their dog. We had to do what was in the best interest of the town, and fortunately we have a small child and other residents likely in that neighborhood who are pretty petrified to go outside and just to walk around, and we
I
really
saw
can't
that
have
too.
that.
I saw the father and the mother and the aunt talking about it, and this child now, I think, is traumatized and scared of dogs for probably a number of years. And all the children in the neighborhood, I understand now, are more reluctant to walk by that home and everything. And they're just kind of scared now of that neighborhood.
Right.
So,
And you know, I think from our perspective as well in making a decision, we have to rely, if we're not going to recommend euthanization of the dog, if we're going to recommend other things such as muzzling the dog or building a pen, we have to have a lot of confidence that the homeowner is going to follow through on all of those things and not leave the door open or do anything else, let the dog off the leash. That could happen. And there just seemed to be so much convoluted information about what had happened in the past. And just since this incident came up, as far as getting the dog's license, paying the fines, they didn't, there was no confidence, on at least my part as one member of the board,
yes.
that if we did anything else, we could feel confident that the residents in the neighborhood were going to be safe.
Yes.
And without that confidence, I couldn't, make any other decision, unfortunately.
Thank you, Matt. Does Paul or anybody else want to comment about the hearing last night? I know you did a great job talking about that. The letter, because we asked for some IEP or whatever, individual instructional plan or something, and it went through. You signed the letter, but it was kind of drafted by an attorney, and then somehow the information wasn't presented to the Board of Selectmen in confidence.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I mean, the reason they get to the Board of Selectmen is they're not able to resolve it with the dog officer, the animal control officer. So that's when we see it's coming. It's like, it's always going to be an interesting story. And I think, again, everybody was just saddened. But, you're seeing young children testifying at the hearing. It was just a very unfortunate incident.
Yeah, I heard they were crying a little bit
Yeah.
afterwards, right,
Yeah.
or something. So.
Well, the demographics in that neighborhood has changed quite a bit recently, as I think somebody mentioned. There's a lot of young people moving in with young children, and a lot of people walk their babies and their children around the neighborhood, and I can understand the concern because if dogs are running loose, you never know what they're going to do, and I think it's important. If it's anything, it's a message, it's a statement. Get your dog licensed. Get the dog with the shots. Keep them on a leash. Keep them in your yard, and there'll be no problems.
Yes.
And I think that was well stated last night. And again, I think that Matt did a great job in a very, very difficult situation.
Yes. Yeah, for a young man
difficult.
too. How old are you now, Matt?
I'll be 27 this month.
27.
I'm catching up to you quickly,
Yeah.
oddly enough.
You'll be 40 before you know it.
Yes.
But I remember when you first ran, you were like, what was it, 21
I
or
was,
something?
20 when I first ran, 21 when I got elected first time.
Wow, amazing. So, any other comments about the dog hearing last night before we move
No,
on?
I just add one thing, and that is that dogs are animals, and even I have a basset hound, and she's a love.
Oh yeah.
But if a dog is hurt or something, they are animals, and you have to be careful all the time. They talk about it with wild animals and not, but with domesticated animals, you have to be, they are animals, and this is obviously an extreme,
Yeah.
but you have to be careful. You can't ever say never. I guess that's the bottom line.
Yes.
If I could just piggyback on that, Al, I think that's a really good point because from our perspective, every time a situation comes to us, it is very unfortunate because as the owner of most of these dogs, they come up and say, well, most of the time my dog is fine, or my dog plays with my children and has never bit them, or my dog usually doesn't act like this. But we can't make our decision on what's usually going to happen most of the time. If an incident happens, it came to us because the dog did something vicious or out of the ordinary when it was unprovoked and it attacked someone. And you can't, if they're willing to do that once, there's nothing to stop them from necessarily doing that a second time.
Yes.
So even if there's only a 10% chance of something happening again, if that was your child, you'd probably make the same decision every time, most likely.
Yes.
And that's it is unfortunate, but
Yes.
that's the reality of it.
Yes, and there were photos too of the bite marks and everything, as I understand it.
Right.
And just for what it's worth, just to wrap it up, I think the Board of Selectmen made the proper choice, voting unanimously
Right.
to do what was happening. And everyone knows I'm a big animal lover. In fact, our
We
next
all
show,
are, right.
2 weeks from today, is an animal show. We have adoptable dogs, cats. We're going to have adoptable parrot, I think.
Oh, great.
So it's going to be great. I love animals, but I also love human beings.
Right.
And you have to protect the safety of human beings. So I think it was a difficult decision, but I think you did the right thing. And I would have been personally disappointed if the selectmen didn't look out for the health and safety of the neighbors and the neighborhood.
Thank you.
You
I
know,
appreciate
so-
that. It wasn't an easy decision.
Thanks. Well, I thought maybe, let's see, who we're going to start with. Paul, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Paul, how about some significant things that are going on in Chelmsford right now?
I think obviously we're all relieved that we're completed town meeting.
Yay! Only 3 nights,
Only
2.5
sessions.
nights.
And so now I think the board and I, we go into sort of a reset. Matt's going to convene a goal-setting workshop for the board next Monday evening, and it's sort of almost like the new year for us. The election's over, town meeting's over, and then it's sort of planning for the year ahead. Some of the things are evident. I mean, the future of the 7 North Road parcel, which is the former site of the Center Fire Station, the future work with the library trustees of the library grounds where the former Dutton House stood, the future 101 Mill Road. So obviously there's a theme there about what to do with these properties for the community.
Yes.
So I think that will be prominent in the year ahead. Tom touched on earlier when we look towards fall town meeting, it's going to be how are we going to resolve the issue with the grinder pumps in terms of the maintenance and preventive care in response to that. So I think that's what you're looking at fall town meeting. I think looking at a community in terms of what we see if we're sitting here a year from now, I think some of the things, again, if you had thought a year ago, you wouldn't have seen some of the issues that are arisen. But I think you can see, and we're seeing it, the big issue that's coming is going to be the issue of stormwater management. And I know it sounds a bit esoteric, but the federal government, the EPA, is going to come out with new regulations. They've got draft regulations out, and they're going to have final regulations out within 4 to 6 months. And that's going to represent not only an obligation financially and otherwise for cities and towns, but also for private businesses. And that sort of goes to the efforts of protecting the environment and preventing efforts, but it's going to have a significant impact.
Wow.
And I know there are already discussions going place with the governor in terms of how cities and towns are going to be affected by this, how the state's going to be affected, and as I said, even private businesses. So that's sort of one that may not be so evident to people in terms of what are you planning on for the year ahead, but that's going to be a major issue.
Wow.
And we're looking to see that coming forward in the year ahead. So that's a big
Thank
one.
you. And you mentioned the Dutton House, which now
Yeah.
is down. Is the Board of Library Trustees going to be the first decision makers
Yes,
to come up with a recommendation?
Yeah, they are, and I think that people have to understand that decisions like that and the improvements aren't just done in isolation, or the library trustees was they had requested that the home be removed from the site, and we tried for over a year to find a suitable location, and then nothing panned out after 3 efforts to trying to get it done. But I think the real opportunity there is having green space exterior to the library. And so it's not just, we're going to create a parking lot. No, the library now, we've been so accustomed to that site being the building, but really it's going to be the building and the grounds, and really making it part of the vibrant center, including a connection to Bartlett Park, the ability for people on a day, spring day, summer day, fall day, to be able to visit the library and be outside on the grounds, on a bench or a hillside and so forth. And it's really going to present an opportunity. I think again, we're also talking to DPW about providing full pedestrian access throughout the center. So you want to be able to walk safely, to the library, back from the library into the center, to the rail trail, over to Bartlett Park and so forth. And clearly, even with the development of the Stop and Shop Plaza, with the end units being filled, we expect a restaurant to open up, an Italian restaurant after Labor Day. So again, it's getting people into the center of the community, much as you noted happened last Saturday with the Rotary Duck Festival, is getting people out and enjoying the center. And I think the most exciting part of that day that I saw was the fathers walking over with their young children from the library story hour, make way for ducklings, and coming with their little maid hats, and then coming to the duck race. I mean, that's the idea of pedestrian mobility and activity in the center.
And many years into the future, I guess it'll take a few years for that Beaver Brook area to be the walkway nearby, right?
That's part of the master. That's part of the master plan.
Right?
But maybe we've got to do some incremental steps along the way. I think the notion, including the cultural district, is not to just wait for the state money to come, but to make incremental improvements each year. We've already seen it at the Win Stanley site, where the where the Italian restaurant is behind the CVS, they've already done some clearing on their banks, and there will be outdoor seating there.
Oh, great.
So now perhaps we look at the other side and clear up where we were this weekend for the Rotary Club Duck Festival, and clearing up some of the growth there, and then again providing pedestrian bridges across, because as we
that'd be
saw,
beautiful.
there were people. We were stunned by how many people use that municipal parking lot, whether they're going to Fishbones or
yeah.
other activities in the center.
Yes.
As you said, parking is
I went there,
difficult.
yeah.
So I think the challenge is now let's provide the convenience for people to cross, throughout the center on foot.
That'd be great. The Italian restaurant, there was a rumor, on the Chelmsford Reps and Residents group on Facebook with the name of it.
Yep.
But then somebody said, we're trying not to give out the name yet.
Right.
Is the person, it begins with an A, right?
Andiamo's.
Andiamo's.
Yeah, they
So
have
it's
a location in Newburyport.
It's
and
a high-class
Right,
restaurant,
yes,
like a
yeah.
good-
Yeah, it's an
I mean,
Italian
a
restaurant.
very
Yeah, it's
nice
not a
Italian-
chain. It's not a
No,
chain.
no,
it's
yeah, just
it's an
yeah.
Italian restaurant, and again, the plan is to have indoor and outdoor seating, and you already got Novo, and you've got Fishbones, as we talked about. So it becomes a destination location for
Yes,
people to
it'd be
dine,
great.
and also if we can then get them out in the cultural activities and on foot, and again, become a walkable downtown.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
the plaza almost all filled now? I know we have the Dunkin'
The Dunkin'
Donuts,
Donuts
in
is
there. We have
in,
the
Loch Ness,
Novo, we have the Loch Ness, we
the
have
Choice Fitness.
Choice
So I think they
Fitness.
have one or two.
maybe one or two.
Yeah, they got a
tomorrow.
couple still open.
Still
Little
spots,
retail.
yeah.
We'll hope they fill
Yeah,
up.
you've
but-
got the Friendlies, you've got the bank, the
Yeah,
CVS.
it's
so
looking
there's-
great over
There's
there.
a lot going on there.
And I think the redevelopment of that plaza is excellent because, I like art a little bit, architecture, and I'm so glad they added character to it, to the
Yep.
exterior, and practically rebuilt the whole thing pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah.
But that developer from Concord,
Yeah,
right?
Win
Is it
Stanley.
Sta-
Win Stanley, yeah.
Win Stanley did a great job.
Yeah,
so,
and you're
with
seeing
all
some
that.
turnover and some development across the street at the other plaza on Summer Street.
Oh,
We were
yeah.
in the board meeting last night. The folks at the 110 Grill, they've done an interior remodel. So again, there's a lot to see and visit.
Oh, that's,
in-
I
in
saw
the
that the
community.
110
Yeah.
came in.
Yeah, they've really have they've got a
Nice.
new menu. They've remodeled the interior. So again, it's worth a revisit.
Wonderful. Anybody want to comment on what Paul has said before we move on a little bit? Other than
So
myself?
I
got
think
it.
that, with the respect to the EPA regulations, I know Paul and I have talked about this earlier, and I think it's going to have a significant impact, and I think that it's, we're going to have a challenge to try to fund this because, as is usually the case, there'll be no money coming with these regulations. I mean, you're on your own.
Oh, yeah, I hate
mean,
that.
well,
Unfunded mandates,
yeah,
right? I
that's
hate
right.
those
It's a-
things.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and I think that it's going to be a challenge for each and every department, and it's going to be a challenge for the finance committee. We have to probably look at certain things we may have to cut back on, and that's
Yes.
it's a tough decision.
Yeah, at NIMCOG, Beverly Woods, the Northern Middlesex Council of
Right.
Governments, they've done a really great job at reviewing the draft regulations, and they have a great team of experts over there who have made some simple recommendations, well, sort of pages of recommendations on just small changes or tweaks to the regulations that could save the towns a lot of money, just in terms of the amount of sampling and the types of sampling. Some types of sampling could be done once every 6 months instead of once every month, and when you think about how that could add up, keeping the intent the same while saving a lot of money, they've done a great job at looking at that. If those changes could be incorporated, it could mean it could be great for the municipalities.
That'd
So
be
I just want to
great,
give them a
yeah.
plug and thank them for their hard work at
Yeah.
taking a crack at that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'd have to say, Paul's spot on the walkability of the center of town. I hated to see the Dutton House go, and I know you
We
did
all did.
too.
Nobody felt
but
good.
you can't fault the town for trying.
They tried,
They
because I
did.
know I was,
Yeah,
I
we
was,
were
took a big part of that.
How was it? It was to the
As a
planning board at least once. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we saw this.
I tried to get it, yeah.
As to the stormwater regulations, it will inevitably trickle down to the planning board. That's on my reading list is the draft regulations,
geez.
and I'm not.
How many pages is it?
I'm not looking forward
Oh,
to it, but I got to read them.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez. So we move on. I wonder if we could ask Matt a little bit about some significant issues you see coming up before the Board of Selectmen in the
Okay.
near or distant future.
Yeah, great. No, I'm sure. Certainly, Paul mentioned a lot of important ones already, but there are certain other things that are going to come up just naturally, and other things that are going to affect the school and the planning board as well. We've talked about 129 and some redevelopment and some zoning there. That was maybe touched upon at our last
yeah.
meeting.
Yeah,
It is something we're, I think, still looking at. The schools, obviously, we're looking to have some close collaboration over the next year to to see if there's any additional assistance needed. We know full-day kindergarten is certainly still on the radar. We have the little things that come up just at a few of our last meetings as it relates to traffic. We just had a gentleman the other night who said the truck traffic related to aggregate was going on too late, and they want us to look at that.
Saw that. Yeah.
A couple meetings ago, we had someone who wanted us to look at Stedman Street again and that whole corridor. So we're applying through the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments for some state grant funding to study that area and see what remediation efforts we have.
Wonderful.
As Paul had mentioned, at our next meeting, we're going to be doing our sort of brainstorming session where we set goals for the next year. It'd be great if anyone watching has any ideas on what they would like us or the town to focus on, to
good.
reach out before that meeting or come during the open session at the beginning of that meeting and give us some material or some items to work on over the next year.
Good idea.
New things keep coming up at every meeting, it seems. Every time we set our goals for the year, there's always something that comes up at every meeting that we also have to work on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know everything that we're going to look forward to,
Yeah.
but there's certainly a lot going on, that's for sure.
So, and just quickly, how do you like being a selectman, Matt? It's been 5 years now. You're in your sixth.
It's fantastic. The only, I just wish I could do it full time. Unfortunately, I have to work during the day.
That's
It makes
what I
it
wanted
difficult.
to ask you at the because you're now working for Westford, right?
Yes.
The town of Westford.
Yep.
What is the title, Matt?
I'm
that
a
you
project and procurement specialist. So I work directly with the town manager, assisting the Board of Selectmen and the town in a lot of ways as it relates to contract procurement of goods and services and
Do you
things
do
like that.
any of the negotiating, or some, or all of it, or some?
Some of it. I
Some
mean,
of it,
for
yeah.
like the major negotiations, the contract negotiations for unions and personnel and things like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
the town manager handles. But more on the procurement side, that's where I
You're
step
handling
in and
a lot of it?
assist, and paperwork and
Yeah.
negotiations on that end.
That's
So-
what I had my career in, contract
That's right,
management.
that's right. Yes.
I was
Federal
certified professional
government, right.
contract manager, federal government, yeah.
Right.
So
it's great.
thank
I love
God
it.
I was able to get those positions, with the government and Textron and everything. And it brought me to Chelmsford from Waterbury, Connecticut,
Oh, wow.
in a little house. So I really have a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah,
and
I do as well.
I think, I think you're doing great, and you're on the right path. I think I have an idea where you'd like to end up someday, and I
Good
think
ideas.
you're doing everything right to do that, Matt. And so I wish you the best of luck in your career, because you're so young right now. You have it all
Yeah.
pretty much ahead of you. And
No, I feel very blessed to be a selectman and
Yeah.
just get to serve my town on top of everything else. I always just like to get back, and it's a great way to do that. It's fantastic.
But it reminds me, I don't know if you could say it, but you're engaged now, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
Getting married in October.
October
Yep,
this year.
not a secret.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. In Chelmsford, you're going to get married?
Yes,
have you
well, St.
decided?
Mary's Church.
Oh,
and then,
yeah, nice.
moving on.
And then have you decided on where you're going to, you'll be living in Chelmsford, I hope.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, good. Hey, thank God for that, right? So good luck with everything. Your
you.
fiance is so beautiful, such
Thank
a
you.
nice person.
I agree.
Is it Teresa?
Teresa, correct.
Teresa, oh, very nice. You're so lucky.
I am. I won't disagree.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you. Well, Al, I wonder if we could talk to you about, I know a lot's been going on with the school committee, right?
Few
And the
things,
school system.
yeah.
Could you update us, Al?
Sure. Well, we've had a couple of exciting hires. As most of you know, Steve Murray's coming back from Andover to lead the high school next year, and it took a lot of conversation by a lot of people, I think, to facilitate that. His name
To get
was-
him to apply? Or?
Yeah, there was a question of whether he had signed a contract and all those things. But he's a very talented young man. For one thing, I keep mentioning, but he has a tremendous sense of humor. Anyone that was at when he was inducted to the Hall of Fame saw he probably could make a living doing that. But he's been the president of the Town of Chelmsford Scholarship Fund the last year.
Wow.
He just stepped down. He helps Kevin Branco coach girls basketball just for fun, I think. I mean, he's maintained while he's been in Andover professionally, he's maintained a lot of involvement in town. So we're really excited about that. I know the people at the high school are.
Yeah,
We wish
that's great.
Charlie Cleary the best in moving on. He's moving closer to home down in
Near
Marlborough. So.
Yeah.
So that's one, and we've just hired a new financial person that we're really excited about. She has a tremendous background in finance. I think everyone, she was interviewed by several teams, including townspeople as well as school people, and she interviewed very well. She has a nice personality, but she has a lot of experience in school finance. But when she took time off to raise a family, she started a company where she was a consultant going in where towns or school districts were having financial challenges. So I think the combination of talents that she brings is really outstanding.
Yes.
And Mr. Antonelli, who's done such a great job, started handing off some of the papers at our last meeting. She she was there to be introduced. So
When
I
is she
think
going to start, Al? I'm sorry.
this summer.
So July 1st
Yeah,
or something?
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's good. Our next big challenge, at least from my perspective, is interim superintendent. One thing I want to make clear is that some people probably questioning the process for selecting this person. There isn't any, which is both good and bad. I think that if you think about it, like if someone passed away as a superintendent, particularly in a small district, they can't go through a search for a year and conduct business. So I'm sure that's a lot of the reasoning behind it. Just as an example, we could get together at a meeting and just to have a vote and bring somebody. But we haven't been doing that. We've talked to a number of people. We're making progress. I don't want to say much more than that at this point, but it is interesting. And as soon as we get that done, then we'll be making moves. I'm confident that we're going to go with the School Committee Association to do the search. There's a cost to it, but they take on so much responsibility in organizing, in getting candidates and so forth. So I want to go that way.
Do you
We
have any
haven't
idea
decided.
what the cost is, Al?
Yeah, $20,000,
Yeah.
and then
I think that was the process was followed when Dr. Mosier retired.
yeah.
Oh, was it
Yes,
really?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
I mean,
Yeah.
almost everybody does
Right.
that, just because they're used to handling it and they know all the things that need to get done. So that will be happening. We have other positions to fill. We have to hire a person to replace the CHIPS person. We have to bring somebody in for food services. You probably know that we shared that
Yes.
with Bill Ricker the last few years, and we were hoping to get at least a one more year contract, but they decided that it's a significant job and they wanted to have her full-time. April Askey, she's been great. She has a wonderful personality, in that she was challenged on a lot of things, and she was very knowledgeable about what the nutritional requirements are and all of that.
Yeah.
And while it was frustrating because we don't have fully stocked, equipped kitchens and so forth, she was making strides to try to improve the variety and the nutritional types of offerings. So that's another position. What have I forgotten?
Wow.
I mean, we're getting
It's
there. One thing before I forget, some of you have already heard from Sal Lapoli. On Thursday night at 5 o'clock at the police station, former Secretary of Education Matt Malone is coming out to speak about whatever you want to talk about with regard to state education. That was in the paper the last few days that there are some new regulations coming out about one thing about EpiPens. I mean, I think we're pretty much up on that, but in a number of other things. So catch us up, maybe talk about some finances, priorities for the state moving forward. I'm sure that there'll be questions. We're trying to invite everyone that's particularly interested.
Chelmsford reps and residents, Al, could
Yeah.
you either post it or send it to me to post it?
Sure.
Because we have, by the way, if you haven't joined that, we have over 1,800 Chelmsfordians in that group, Nate, Lowell, et cetera. So Chelmsford reps and residents on Facebook, we try to let everybody know what's going on in town. So an event like that, we definitely like to post and let people know. And now do you see everybody's asking, where do I go for a carpenter, plumber, somebody to build a deck,
Yeah.
somebody to take care of my grandmother, whatever. And they're getting responses so great from the people. So Mike, we got to get you more active on Facebook a little bit.
Okay, I promise
All
I will
right.
open a Facebook account.
All right.
Oh, wow.
And now if we could be friends, that would be good. On Facebook.
I'll
know
tell you
we're
what, my
friends.
first act will be to friend you.
All right.
However that works, if I can find the right buttons.
Because you got to friend
Yeah.
the Godfather Chelmsford first, right? Otherwise, you're in trouble. That's an
Indeed.
inside joke,
Yeah.
but most people know what it's about. But anyway, so so that's a nice
No,
summary.
we've had
but-
some major challenges, but I think we're making a lot of progress.
Yeah.
Sal coming on the board is very interesting because
How's it going? Yeah.
well, he's so full of energy.
Yeah. Where does he get all that energy? It's
I don't know. I guess he
amazing.
gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, but-
You know, he just keeps going. Although I have seen him wear out, but
yeah.
you know, he's asking a lot of questions because he admits, you know, that this is not an area that he's particularly up on. And, you know, so he is learning just as I am. I mean, I've been on the committee, but being chair is very different than just sitting on the side of the meeting. You know, there's you know, a lot of contact work away from the table, just, you know, trying to keep people from having conversations that aren't productive, maybe.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm really excited. The story, just in terms of my becoming chair, is just short. I tried to get Mike Rigney to stay on, to be honest with you.
For the third year?
Well, because he's been doing it, and when you do it for a while, you kind of know how everything goes. And I think he's been, you know, I don't think he got to Brandeis much the last few years because he's put so much time into
Yes,
it.
yeah.
Really has. But he didn't decide that he wasn't going to be chair until like 45 minutes before the reorganization meeting. So he said, I'd like to support you. And so, you know, when it came time for the election, it was 3-2, and then there's a nice gesture, they made it unanimous. But, you know, so that I understand why, particularly Evelyn, you know, had assumed she was going to be chair. She's a tremendous worker.
Yeah.
She really is. She does all, you know, she pushes us to keep the policies all up to date.
Yeah.
And she has a history of, which sometimes we get tired of hearing, but she does. She's been around. She knows how things have happened.
18 years, I believe.
Yeah.
She's
Oh,
been on the school
great.
committee.
And she does so much in the community beyond that. So, and you know, Barbara Scar has, you know, is relatively new on the committee, and she's starting to become a much more active participant. I
Nice.
think it's a good committee in that it is diverse. It's not, I don't think anybody will be able to accuse the five of us of rubber stamping anything, because it's
No.
not that kind of committee.
No.
But I'm looking forward to it. To be honest, I was willing to do it as a personal challenge. I'm actually a pretty quiet person, and well, at least compared to some others. but you know, I enjoy a challenge. And in the previous school situation, there were problems, and I was able to play a role there. And in church at one point, we had some challenges, and I was able to play a role there. So I think I have some talents that are good for the current situation.
Yes.
Do I have shortcomings? Yes, we all do. And I've readily admitted a few already. But I mean, I'm really excited. I think we have a good committee. I think the town is starting to, particularly with the first couple of hires, believe that we are headed in the right direction. And that's
Yes.
probably the most important thing that we can accomplish
It's
over the next
fantastic,
couple of
and
years.
you and the entire school committee deserves a lot of credit for all the hours you put in, especially in the last year and a half with all the controversy.
Well, it's been a challenge.
And personal anger, you might say, at the school committee,
Yeah.
which might have been misdirected to somebody. But you all took it very calmly. As you said, Mike Rigney was a chairman through a lot of that and was very
Yeah.
calm, polite to everybody. And I thought the school committee did an outstanding job
Yeah.
during that whole controversy. And you all handled it the
I'd
best way you
also like to
could've,
put a
I think.
plug in for the current superintendent and the
Yes,
other
yeah.
top administrators that are there. It's awkward,
Yeah.
and yet he continues to put in long hours. Some people on Facebook question, you know, are we going to let him hire some of the people we have to? He's committed to the town.
Yes.
He has been.
Yes.
And his kids go to school here.
Yes.
And he takes all of that very seriously. He's been upset because he's had a very difficult situation.
Yes.
And Linda Hirsch, who's staying, and Anne-Marie Fiore, all of those people are good people, and it's been very difficult. Some of the rumors that go around are vicious. They're awful. I'm not telling you people anything because you've probably experienced that. But I think it's been particularly difficult to finish up under the circumstances
Yes.
that have been here, and they are working hard, carrying out every responsibility that they have as those that are moving on finish, and those that are staying are excited to see things going forward, so that they'll be able to get back to things in a more pleasant
Yes.
line, if you would.
I agree with you entirely on that, Al.
So it has been tough, but I'll tell you one thing: financially coming out of it, we probably have the best financial overseeing that there is in the whole area.
Yes, yeah.
Frank
Yeah.
Antonelli, everybody's heard it, but he's been absolutely fantastic, and I'm confident that Mrs. Cresta that's coming in will pick up right where he's going to leave us. So.
It's fantastic, everything. Thank you, Al. Thank you so
So
much.
that's Thursday night at 5 at the police station. Anyone that's interested in what's happening statewide in
That's
education.
5 p.m.?
Another thing, when we went into the day of on the Hill, where all the school committees and some of the superintendents and so forth go in, we met with the lieutenant governor, and she's going to be coming out too. One of her big responsibilities with the governor is to get out into the state. And so she'll be, we haven't got a date. We're kind of waiting for her to give us some dates.
Right.
She's going to be coming out. We met with the Speaker of the House, primarily for a photo op, I'll be perfectly honest, but all the Chairman of the Ways and Means, they're right in the middle of budget discussions, and he took, at least 20 minutes to speak with us.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Nice.
so it was a very valuable day on the Hill.
Nice.
To see these people and have them see us, and make an identification more with Chelmsford. They get the same messages from us they have for the last 15 or 20 years.
yes,
Way
yeah.
back when Kathy Duffett and all those people were going in on the buses.
Yep, I
So
went with them, yeah.
I'll tell you, they never forgot that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe they haven't been able to do as much about it as they wanted
Yeah,
to.
right.
And one other
Exactly.
thing I want to say, we sat in the Great Hall where they have the main meetings. Corey Atkins' comments in the paper the other night are true. I ripped my pants on the springs coming through the seats. Oh, it's awful. It's an embarrassment to the state. The chairs are in such bad condition.
And what room
Gardner
were these
Auditorium.
chairs
Gardner
in?
Auditorium.
Yeah.
The Gardner Auditorium.
Yeah, it was
money.
on the front page of the Sun the other day when
They
she was.
spent a lot of money in Deval Patrick's office. They could have put some
Yeah, over what, a million.
Well,
or
I can tell you,
No, I don't-
none of the offices are too bad, but but they play. It's interesting. They play a game. They keep moving around. It's a status
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah.
so
Yeah.
you got to find out where they are this year
Right.
because
Yeah.
they move around.
Yeah,
But
thanks.
seriously, they've got to do something, just because to have anyone come into our Capitol and sit down and get their clothing ripped, and wasn't just my seat. All is like that. It's very
Yeah,
bad.
that should be taken care of.
The,
Yes,
the
yeah.
cloth on the seats
Yeah.
coming off.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
couldn't believe it.
Thanks, wow.
But anyway, just
Thanks.
a little plug for
Nice summary
can
of
do
the school
something for that.
system. Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll get that 5 o'clock on Thursday, you said,
Thursday
right? At the police station
in that
conference room or whatever
yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Mike, so the chairman of the planning board this
Yes,
year,
I am
how's that
indeed.
going so far?
It's
by the way,
going
being
rather well.
chairman?
It's going rather well.
And a lot going on there, or is it slow? Well, there's a
Well,
lot of building
we have two functions that are rather separate. We have a regulatory function. We have a planning function. The regulatory thing, we just have our meetings. Sometimes they're exciting if there's a lot of neighborhood interest. Sometimes they're pretty straightforward. And then there's the planning side, and I think that's where the most interesting stuff is happening. It's 5 years ago since we embarked on the current master plan. We're halfway through that master plan.
Wow.
And one thing that we're going to try to do this year is kind of take a midterm view. As best as I can tell, well over half of the items on the master plan have been addressed one way or another. Many of them are complete. And we're hoping to go through the rest. Some of them will never be done. I mean, tastes change and needs change. Some of them will be completed. A lot of them we can declare complete and start getting ready for probably 3 years from now when it'll be time for the next master plan.
Wow.
And then there are a couple of areas we may look at in a little more detail. We've had a lot of conversation on inclusionary housing support in the bylaws. We've got 8 members, counting the alternate, so we've got at least 15 different opinions. And we need to take a look at that and see if there's something that ought to or might go into the bylaws to support that a little bit better. I'm also interested in looking a little bit at our support for historical preservation in town. I mean, we have, for example, a Stonewall Scenic Road statute bylaw. It's not particularly strong, but it's there. We look at that. Do we need to add any more roads to it? What do people think in town? And I want to take a closer look at what's happening with the Center Village and the historic and cultural, and see if there's any support that we can give them in terms of bylaw development.
Nice.
That would help them out.
And the planning board doesn't, I know, control the Mill Road development, 108
Right.
units, the end of Mill Road.
Right.
But do you have any idea when that's going to begin or anything? The
I
construction?
don't know the details
It's a
on
40.
that, but I tell you what I have heard. I've heard rumors that there may be one or two more 40Bs lurking in the wings. Now,
Yeah, the town certification of affordable
Yeah.
housing expires next month.
yep.
Because you remember, it
Yes.
first happened with David Hedison's project, and that got us a year. And then a year ago, Mill Road came in, but that expires in June. And so what I'm hearing is that the Mill Road units construction will be this fall.
Yeah.
But again, we could be seeing before the Board of Appeals within the next month or
Oh.
two an application for additional affordable units of a significant nature.
Yeah.
So-
Nothing's been filed yet,
Yeah.
but again, the people out there are aware because we're nearing the 10%, and so
That's
now
what I
it
was gonna
becomes
ask you. So we're
now
still
it becomes
near it.
but now it becomes anxiety because not for the property owners because if they're going to do a project, there isn't a lot of time or number of units
Yeah.
left.
I see, yeah.
So that's why it's going to be so interesting.
Wow.
So we
Wow.
anticipate something
And,
will
yeah.
happen.
And as you know, the planning board doesn't get deeply involved
Right.
in the 40Bs, but there are a couple of places that we can at least have a better look at them, and I think
Yes.
if any come across, I think we may ask for for example, ask for a friendly presentation before the planning board to see what some of these things are about. I think we may take a somewhat closer look at the ZBA material that comes through us for comment.
Nice.
We'll see
Thank
what
you.
we can do.
Thank you, Mike. Well, our time is running out
Yeah, I figured it
rapidly.
might be.
I can't believe it. Tom Gilroy, could you tell us what's going on with the Finance
Sure.
Committee and all
Yeah,
of
we
that?
have some challenges for next year. First of all, I think we're still going to try to maintain oversight over the school budget. I've asked Frank and Al to come before us maybe next month, so we can look at as close to the end of the fiscal year as we can. I know that they're doing much better. I saw the last meeting you had when you reviewed the budget, and I know that deficit overrun is going down rather dramatically, which is the
It's
way-
down to around 300,000
300,000,
now.
right. So that's
Great,
great.
great.
So I think we'll continue to do that, and then of course we'll get acquainted with our new business director.
Yes.
One of the other challenges that we want to try to get under control is the Neshoba situation. Neshoba, every time they come to town meeting, it seems to be somewhat of a contentious situation, and I have difficulty understanding why that is the case. And they've agreed that we can get involved. We as a committee or we as individuals get involved in their budget process when they start it, in the fall. And that way we'll be, more aware of what's going on. Now, people have to understand that their budget and what we pay is directly proportional to the amount of students we have in the school. Right now, we have 185 students, and next year, who knows, we may have more or less, but that becomes the basis for our budget.
Yeah.
So we're going to work with them and see if we can get a better understanding and hopefully shorten the process at town meeting for everybody, because in spite of the fact that there was a very, very long discussion, almost 2 hours, there were only 23 people that voted against the budget in the whole town meeting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing.
But you heard Stratus Dukakis, right? Talked about, he asked
Yeah,
for
I
a
know,
certain
I know,
backup.
I know.
And I know that concerns me as a former contract person. You want complete cost and pricing data. You want the backup for the information so
Right.
you could evaluate it. And they refused to provide it, as
Well,
I understand it.
I
And that bothered me.
There are certain rules and regulations which they are governed by. different than the municipal departments. I also was a contracts guy for 40 years, so I know a little bit about cost and pricing data myself. But
Yeah,
you know, I think that we have to stop this constant bickering with them, and we have to get in there and work with them and understand, and we can see what they're doing. They're not going to hide it from us. I mean, the fact that people stand up and start making accusations bothers me, okay? It bothers me because, you know, they're doing a great job. I read their 2 audit reports for fiscal years 14 and 13.
Yeah.
They are exemplary. They have done everything right. There were no findings, none whatsoever.
Why aren't they providing the data?
Because they don't have to. It's as simple as that. You know, they don't have to. I mean, I think they probably would. I think there's a little bit of animosity there. This has gone on for so many years. I mean, people get very, very, you know, they get their back up, and I think that if there was a better relationship, you know, with them, I think it might be better. So we're trying to do that. We're trying to establish a better relationship, a better understanding, and that way maybe that the people will understand that these folks are, you know, governed by a certain set of rules than they are. But that's those are our 2 major goals, and I think that plus the, you know, my involvement with the grinder pump study committee, which I think we're going to try to establish some roles and responsibilities for the town and the owners, so that we can hopefully keep this under control for the next.
And
you know,
maybe
in the future.
propose a new warrant article in the fall or something?
Well, probably.
It seems to me.
Yeah, I think that what we're going to probably do is we're going to try to put something into our bylaws. The bylaws right now are not very specific.
Yes.
I think that's our goal, because we do have a contract that's a 3-year contract that we're basically, you know, we're bound by. I think we have to live by that.
Contract with whom are you
With
speaking?
Weston and Sampson.
To do the kind of the
To
maintenance
do
and
the
all that.
maintenance, right.
But you know what my neighbor said, who has a grinder pump, George Kalos, you might know him, he owns a Center Mall,
Yes.
that 3 people came over to inspect his grinder pump,
Yeah.
and he said, this is unnecessary, this is excessive. So I wonder if things that could be looked at, you know?
Well, we get criticized when they aren't there long enough. When there's only 1 person, if there's only 3 person, that's the problem. Is I think Tom's getting at is we need a set of standards, and then all this, like you said, analysis can hopefully be put to the side, and we can just get on with the business.
I hope
because
so,
that's
yeah.
the problem. You know, everybody has a different opinion of what should be done there. But
yeah.
but I think but going back to the Neshoba issue, they're going to be in transition as well, because they've established a search committee for a new superintendent
She's leaving,
as well.
right?
She's leaving.
She's retiring.
Judy's leaving.
When
yeah.
is she
Retiring.
leaving?
The end of this upcoming school year.
Right.
June 30th or whatever?
No, June 30th of 2016.
Oh, I see. So another year,
Chelmsford Public Schools and Neshoba Tech will be doing superintendent searches this coming fall.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, so
wow.
that's and I don't know if people really I know Al does and others, but those are real matters of
challenges.
importance and take a lot of effort and energy
Yeah.
and have a major determination of the future of this town.
Yes, yeah.
One of the things is you start with focus, what are called focus groups, where different parts of the population get together, so that you know, people are saying, well, we have any input. We have everybody that wants to have input will have a chance to have input, basically.
So you're going to have focus groups, you said,
Yes.
right, for the school?
It's just part of the
committee,
process
For the new school?
to determine the kind of person with the kinds of skills that they want to have come here.
Wow.
So that's where we begin, and then a year later we come up with
Yeah.
roughly we come up with a superintendent.
I have heard that there aren't that many good applicants out there anymore. Have you heard that?
Well, it's a tough job, like town manager.
Yeah.
One of the things is that a lot of the candidates lack experience. They move to be, you know, they'll hit. Do you have to
We
wrap
have
up?
to end,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure, that's
but-
fine. I'll stop.
But I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I understand.
Well,
We could go on
as you
forever.
can see, yeah, what a great panel on the show tonight. I really appreciate you all being here for the 20th anniversary show.
Thank you.
I wish we had more people here afterwards to have a piece of cake, but we'll all have to have a huge piece after the show for our 20th anniversary show. Thank you very much to the town manager, Paul Cohen, for being here not only tonight, but 20 times over the past 8 years
Thank you.
that you've been our town manager.
Yep.
Thanks a lot for doing, and also doing your own show, the Roundtable Show. Thank you very much, Mike Raisbeck, for being here.
A pleasure.
On our anniversary, it's always great to see you, and good luck with everything you do. And also, I didn't mention you're an attorney, so if anybody sues me, I could call you up, right?
I'll be hiding under my desk.
Thank you, Mike, for being here. Thank you very much, Matt Hanson, for
Thank
being
you
here.
for having me back.
You're
Appreciate it.
lucky 13th time. You did a great job, and
You have a chance for a record, no question.
Yeah.
I might get on that gold
As long as
panelist
you
list.
better stay in Chelmsford, though,
younger
once you
than
get
we are.
married in the fall.
Do our residuals go up when we?
Yes, oh yeah, they'll double them.
Good.
They'll double them. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom Gilroy. It's
My-
great
my-
having you
my
on the
pleasure.
show
I enjoyed
again.
it. I enjoyed
And thanks for all the committee work you've been doing a lot lately since you retired.
Right.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Al Thomas,
pleasure.
for all your volunteer work. Wonderful. Oh, I see our time is up. Thank you.